10 years ago, I've made a work where I started to build a bridge. I started on one side of a street, and I was always building further until I reached the other side of the street by just reinforcing my bridge. It's actually the picture which is there. And it gave me a bit the etiquette of being a bridge builder. I'm always trying to look for ways to connect places together, people together, physically or metaphorically sometimes. So I'm Adrien Tirtiaux. I'm a visual artist and sculptor, and I've also been trained as an architect. So my work is situated between these two fields. So yeah, space is the thing I sculpt somehow. No, so usually when I get invited for a commission, there is a fixed place that people have in mind to put the artwork, and I think what was particular here is that it was open. So in a way it's very exciting and very nice. They thought in Mosaic it would be nice to have an artwork that connects the city again with the river. What really strikes with the Maas in that region in general, but in Mosaic there is something very grand in that landscape. You come from the city and you discover this big river with a big sky. And it didn't come directly, it was a very long process. And so I was going back and forth along the river, trying to find where would be this place where the sculpture would come, what sculpture could it be. I realized, okay, I was always looking at these towers to orientate myself in the landscape, and they became somehow the topic of the work. So the sculpture is made of 3 volumes, which have different functions and materials. There is one brick clock tower, which is half buried in the ground and which points towards the big church of Mosaic. Then there is a concrete volume, upside down, which leans towards the church tower of Adrien, which is a very old church. It's a bit like it marks the historical beginning of the city. And then the steel volume points towards the other side of the river to the Netherlands. So there is the church tower of Roosteren, which is to be seen, especially when you look into the volume. Then you see that little church far away, and you can shout at the Dutch people if you want. When I was looking for my idea and doing research about Mosaic, I realized the city is part of the landscape, but in a way the landscape also builds the city, is also part of the city, because why is it a brick town, Mosaic? It's because you can find clay along the Maas, which is perfectly good to make good bricks. And these whole water puddles around the Maas, which are the result of gravel extraction, in a way are also a symbol of how concrete has taken a big place in the architecture of the 20th century and has asked for always more and more material. In a lot of my projects I try to work with the materials which are already there. It was amazing when I heard that there is still a kind of artisanal brick factory in Mosaic. One of the last remaining factory with a Hofmann oven. And it was clear, okay, I want to build something with bricks. I want to use these amazing Mosaic bricks, that's how they are called. And in the same way, it was important to me to involve gravel in the sculpture, which is now on the bottom, but gravel is also like one of the main components of the concrete structure, which faces the lake where the gravel has been extracted. So things come together like that. But I'm very curious to see how it will be appropriated. For now, I think I hope the people in Mosaic take good care of it and like it. I mean, you can use it as a playground or as a thing to interact, but there are other layers which are there. There is a relationship of the object in the landscape. There is this question about the production of materials. So you can see how it all comes together, and I think that's really interesting, of course.